talking to me? You talking to me?
It was founded in 1870. Whereas, the city of Wichita is proud to recognize the 20th anniversary of the Tallgrass Film Festival from September 28th to October 2nd, 2022. And whereas, the city of Wichita is pleased to welcome visiting filmmakers from across the globe to Wichita for this annual celebration of cinema. Whereas, the Tallgrass Film Festival fosters an appreciation of the cinematic arts by creating shared experiences around the medium of film. And whereas, the Tallgrass Film Festival serves as a symbol of pride, excellence, creativity, and stubborn independence for the citizens of Wichita and the state of Kansas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Brandon Whipple, Mayor of the City of Wichita, Kansas, along with the Wichita City Council, do hereby proclaim September 28th through October 2nd, 2022 as Tallgrass Film Festival Days in the City of Wichita, and encourage all citizens to congratulate and celebrate the filmmakers from around the world, but especially the Kansas filmmakers at the 20th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival.
What do you expect? I'm the Movie Moron.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none.
All right, I'm here with Hannah. Hannah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am Hannah Bothner. I am operations manager and short film programmer for Tallgrass Film Festival.
Fantastic. So you're the short film programmer? What all goes into that?
So I have helped to watch all the movies that get submitted to our festival, which this year we had like over 2,000 short films, which was a lot to sift through, and our team helps watch them, and then I go through and watch the ones that they like, or sometimes the ones they don't like, just to see if I like them, and I check those out, and then I pick which ones I like the best, and then we get to screen them at the festival.
Fantastic. So, speaking of shorts and watching things this week, have you seen anything that you've particularly enjoyed?
So I am both operations manager and short film programmer, so I have no time to watch the movies that we are putting on, unfortunately, except I have seen every single short film in this program, of course. I've only seen 2 features in the program, but I liked both of them. It started with a horse and Little Satchmo, and I really loved both of them. Absolutely fascinating documentaries, and I'm not even usually much of a documentary gal. I'm much more into narrative, but I do love a good documentary, and they were both amazing. But otherwise, I mean, I picked all of the short films, and I loved every single one of them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Hannah.
Absolutely.
I heard about your show about 17 years ago by this wonderful novel based on your show written by Lisa C. called Snowflower and the Secret Fan. And I read about the novel, remembering that I was feeling really ashamed of being a Chinese woman, that I didn't know about this language. And so fast forward years later, 2010, when I moved back to China because my husband got relocated. I got married and had my daughter. And as a Chinese woman born and raised in China, I was more from the era where you saw, the communist era where the gender equality was very much pushed. And I was a young girl that my dad always pushed me to dream as high as I can, even higher than boys. So when I moved back to China, after I had my daughter, I instantly feel betrayed by the society in a lot of ways of how our women's rights has been rolled back. We're living under increasingly more political, economic, and reproductive pressures. And as a young mother and as a filmmaker, I was very much at the crossroad and feeling very confused. And also betrayed at the same time. And I realized that it's not just me, all my girlfriends of my generation, a lot of women are feeling the same. And I started to realize that the gender inequality is not something that you could talk about in China when I was there. And also feminism is even a bad word, and Me Too movement was taboo. And I feel suffocated in a way that I wanted to find a way to talk about this in a way that it can also be seen in China. And so when my two producers, one from Norway and one from the US, came to me to make a film about Yushu, instantly my instinct is that if there's any way I can tie that story with what's going on of women in China today, then I think that's a film I want to make. So that's how.
Hey, moron!
You talking to me? You talking to me?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello? What an idiot! Well, what do you expect? I'm the movie moron.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Kelsey and I both got lessons from Roger, and we both realized that we wanted to give back to the steel guitar, but we weren't good enough to give lessons. I was doing music journalism, and Kelsey does videography, so we thought about maybe doing something together, and I interviewed Buddy Cage. I'm a huge Grateful Dead fan, and that's what inspired me to play, was hearing Jerry Garcia, who asked Buddy Cage to replace him. So I went and followed the new writers for several shows and got to hang out with him. And Kelsey's like, wow, I think we can do this. Like, you're a musician, you can get access, people want to talk about the instrument. So we just dove right in. It was about 6 years into the making of the film before we realized we wanted to involve Roger in it. So we had several different ideas for like a thread, a storyline to go through, so it wasn't a bunch of talking heads with the interviews, and they didn't work out. So as we're filming Roger teach another student, we just realized, oh my God, Roger is the story. He's right in front of us. So, and he's got a heart of gold. And I'm passionate about a lot of different things when it comes to art, but we hope to kind of inspire people to pass it on, whether it's woodworking, fishing, whatever. Just inspire people to pass their knowledge on, because when the steel guitar first started, all the different tunings, the knee levers, the foot pedals, people would cover it up with a sheet, and they kept everything secret. So now that it's more standardized, people use the similar tunings, there are people that want to pass the knowledge on, because there's just not a lot of people that play it.
All right, so I'm here with Dan Mirvish. Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Dan Mirvish, and I'm the director of the film 18 and a Half, which played at the Tallgrass Film Festival in Wichita, Kansas last year, and it won the Stubbornly Independent prize, which came with a comically oversized large check for $5,000. And this was only our second U.S. festival, and it really made a huge difference. Based on that prize and that award and the money, we were able to get distribution for the film. The film wound up playing at 25 festivals on 4 continents around the world. Then it got a theatrical distribution, including playing here in Wichita, but it played in 60 cities across the country. It's now playing on 6 airlines around the world: JetBlue, Virgin Atlantic, Qatar, Emirates, Singapore Air, and Air New Zealand. So if you're going to Singapore or New Zealand, you can watch 18 and a Half. And and it's a film. It's unlike these films, which are documentaries, because we're in the nonfiction section of the library here at the Wichita Library. Our film is mostly fiction. It's historical fiction. It's about a young woman who gets a hold of the missing 18.5-minute gap in the Nixon White House, tries to leak it to a reporter, and they run afoul of hippies, swingers, and nefarious people out to get them. And it's a lot of fun. Great cast. Willa Fitzgerald, John Magaro, Richard Kind is in it. The voice of Bruce Campbell as Nixon himself, because when you think Nixon, you think Bruce Campbell, obviously. I know I did, and so I cast him. And it was great. Everyone was really terrific, and a great cinematography. Cinematographer El Schneider, who was here representing the film last year. Amazing music. It's all original bossa nova music, but made to sound like it was from the 60s and 70s by Luis Guerra and sung by Caro Pierotto. And we're really excited about the film. Obviously, we're back in. We can't leave Wichita. We keep coming back here. So I hope you check it out, and I hope you check out the Movie Moron.
Great.
On moviemoronpodcast.com.
It's close enough.
That's not even a thing, but I don't know.
Well, thanks for talking with me a little bit, Dan.
Thank you.
Opinion, man. Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none taken.
So why do you know these guys? Tell me.
Check. I was born in 1979, which makes me 43 today. But it's not my birthday. Sorry. I got into the embarrassment via friends in the tail end of college. I went to New York. It's a film school at NYU, and was in a band, and just steeped in music and everything. And it was the year 2001 was my senior year, and it was when the internet had, like, a couple years after Napster, we had a thing called Audio Galaxy, where you could basically illegally download anything you wanted that you read on allmusic.com. You could go to Audio Galaxy.com and download it. So it was the first time I feel like you could just read about something and immediately, which we have now, and we take for granted now, but that was the first time. So anyway, I actually didn't illegally download Heyday. My friend who worked at Kim's Video, legendary chain of record stores and video stores in New York City, let me borrow Heyday, and I burned it. And I fell in love with the band, and I was playing in a band, and all my bandmates and I just couldn't stop talking about this band. And I was a drummer, and I very particularly would listen to the drums and the cymbals and just could not figure out what this guy was doing and how he could hit the ride so fast and go back to the hi-hat. And it finally dawned on me after years that he must have the ride on the same side as the hi-hat. And then I got to his house in Boston for that scene at the very beginning. That was the first interview I shot, and learned that he did have the ride on the same side as the hi-hat, which is a weird thing to do.
Thank you.
I'm actually 2 years old.
I'm here with Jason Foster. Jason, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Jason Foster from New Orleans. Actually, I live in New Orleans. I'm from Jamaica, and I'm here with a short documentary, personal doc, In Search of Pregame, and just happy to be back at Tallgrass.
Great. Tell us a little bit about In Search of Pregame.
So it's a story about fatherhood and basketball, but my fatherhood and how I relate to parentage through the game of basketball. So I use home videos, interviews with my mom, photography, still photos from, my childhood to tell this story.
Very cool. Do you have any projects in the works right now?
To make a feature length of this movie. So,
Very cool.
Yeah, so fingers crossed I get some money to get it started.
We're hoping for you, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, be on the lookout for the full-length film of In Search of Pregame.
Yeah.
All right, man. Great. Well, thanks for talking with us.
Thanks.
Hey, moron!
You talking to me? You talking to me?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Well, hey, I'm Melanie Addington, Executive Director, and I think today, Lloyd Kaufman Day is my big adventure. I'm excited to show The Toxic Avenger on this Orpheum screen because it's going to be really good.
Nice. And he's the one that did Poultry Guys.
Poultry
right?
Guys, which is one of my favorites, and then Shakespeare Shitstorm, and he's, a Trauma Stubbornly Independent original, so we're really excited.
Nice, very cool. So, it is Saturday, right? What have you seen that you've enjoyed the most this week?
Oh, this week?
Yeah.
Probably the Forest Some Mimosas.
Oh yeah, nice.
It was great.
I think mine was probably The Blind Man Who Did Not Want to See the Titanic. Is that your car? No, that's not your car. Cool. What are you excited for today?
The horror.
What you're on your way to, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go see Little Satchmo. So, you been having a good time?
Great time.
Fabulous.
Super fun.
Thank you guys. Yes. So we have producers Sean Rhodes and Jason Guest and director John Alexander from Little Satchmo with us today. So whoever wants to take this question, what inspired you to make this film? Was it her book, Living in the Shadow of My Father, Louis Armstrong? Or who approached who? How did this happen?
This happened. First of all, thank you all for coming. I know. I'm trying. Yeah. Let's do that. Hi. Thanks all for coming. The way this all started is, well, I'm going to give you a biased answer because we're in Wichita. The way this all started is because of Sean Rhodes and Rudy Love and the Love family. Yeah. That's really how this actually started. If you want to know the truth. Happy birthday, Bob. And happy birthday, Bob Love. Yeah. We made a movie called This Is Love a few years ago. Sean has been working on it, had been working on it for decades before we got involved. This was about Rudy Love and the Love family, local legends, actually worldwide legends at this point. And that film was it was our first documentary. We had made horror thriller content before that. And that film really sort of exploded. We traveled the world with the Loves, and it opened in London and sold out, and they played a live show at the 100 Club where the Rolling Stones had played, and that sold that out, and it broke attendance records. We sold this theater out. We actually had to turn away 200 people in 2018 from Tallgrass screening in here. So that film had a lot of momentum. It was seriously like a from the heart project, more than I could possibly express. Anyway, in the process of making that film, we acquired naturally, organically, a lot of friends and fans, and people started coming at us from all over the place saying, oh, I know what you need to do next. Ideas are a dime a dozen. People are always saying, oh, you should make a movie about this. I'm like, yeah, you should go build a house brick by brick by yourself, because that's pretty much what it's like. But all these ideas were flying at us, really because of This Is Love. I mean, I'm serious in crediting Rudy and Sean and Bob and everybody. One of the people who came at us was Sharon, and she was a huge fan of This Is Love, and she was working with a local producer in Florida, Sarasota, Florida. She was spared by the hurricane, by the way, so all good there. But her producer, Leah Umberger, who really sort of helmed this project with us, she said, I know what your next project's going to be, and I was like, okay, send me the book. I knew there was a memoir. It had New York Times review, London Telegraph review, a bunch of good press. I read it in one sitting on an iPad on a train in Europe when I was darting between This Is Love screenings. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, is this even true, right? And then I talked to Sharon on the phone. We had a meeting, and I was like, wow, your voice is melodious. It's like your father's voice, but different, and it has just this beautiful, subtle New York accent. And it just sort of occurred to me like, well, what if the memoir was so strong, such a first-person account that was so pure and clean and simple, and I sort of felt like I didn't need to tamper with that. Like, if we could just transfer the memoir into sort of visual, auditory terms, and sort of leave me out of it, that would be ideal. So I proposed to Sharon. I was like, how would you feel about essentially reading your memoir, an edit of your memoir, as a voiceover script for this feature documentary that she wanted to have made? And she said, oh, I've always dreamed of being a voiceover actress. I was like, okay, all right. So, it was really just meant to be. And this whole project, from there we were just like off to the races. We were like, okay, well, in that first meeting, like let's do this. And that was sort of the beginning. And that was late 2019 that happened. I first met Sharon January of 2020. We had all these grandiose plans, and then the pandemic happened, and we stuck to our guns. We stayed on schedule. We did all this stuff. Thankfully, it was kind of our COVID movie. Thankfully, it was like, there's nobody in it. It wasn't like a bunch of big crowd scenes or anything. So it was voiceover and archival footage and a bunch of empty house shots and, over-the-shoulder shots of Sharon, essentially. So it was kind of like a fortuitous stroke of luck with the universe that this is the project that came to us in 2020, because if we were trying to do like some big action movie or something, I don't think it would have happened. but this was perfect. So yeah, that's the long answer of how this came to be.
Okay, we have like 10 minutes.
I'm here with Kelsey. Kelsey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm the volunteer coordinator with Tallgrass, and our volunteers this year were so amazing. They were all great. We couldn't do it without them. And the festival this year was very well attended. We loved everybody that came. There were so many great films.
Fantastic. Did you get to watch any of the films this week?
Yeah, one that stuck out to me, two, was a short called The Diamond, which was great, and then also Kiddo, which was also a really good film.
Fantastic. So, would you recommend somebody come volunteer for the Tallgrass Film Festival?
Oh, for sure. You get free movies, free food, you get to meet a bunch of new people. You get to meet filmmakers from all over the world.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey.
Thank you.
I can share a secret with you because I'm going to break the NDA. This is the 20th anniversary of the Tallgrass Film Festival. Yeah! And look at you there, calm, collected, relaxed. And behind every great woman is lots of pizza.
Welcome to Wichita. All right, so there's many influences to the film, but how'd you come up with the story?
Yeah, a lot of it it does derive from the time that we were living in, of just being like, what are we doing right now? We should be making something. Also, we shouldn't be making anything. It's like a lot of, conflicting ideas. So I think it started just from, let's just make something, and, worst case scenario, we'll put it on Vimeo, and if everyone hates it, that's all good. But I think what slowly happened was it evolved into a real movie. We got Mark Duplass on board, and we got Darcy and Aparna, and it just sort of evolved into a real movie kind of accidentally, but it just, I think, started as this let's just shoot something, we're so bored, and let's just try to make it somewhat representative of what's going on with us, but also at the same time just go off the walls and make something crazy.
So I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourselves and talk about your experience working with the film.
Oh my gosh. Okay, for starters, hi everybody. I'm Ella Kemker, you just saw me up there, and then I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Amy Niosi, I was the director of photography.
Yay!
Yeah, if you want to talk about your experience filming it.
Cool. Yeah, what did you think?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this was actually produced by Wichita State through Empty Space. So we were all college students the entire time that we filmed and worked on this. So it took about a month to film all of it because we were working around classes and that fun jazz. And this was one of the most surreal experiences because this was most of our first deal with film. Our writer and director, it was the first time she'd ever written or directed anything. This was my first film that I'd ever done over about a minute long for a class project. And obviously our wonderful Amy does film. So we had lots of wonderful people helping us out with that aspect of it, but a lot of us were brand new to film. So it was something that was fun to navigate in that way, that we got to experience something new together.
Yeah, I was one of the only people on set who was like really experienced with film, so it was really fun to teach all my other colleagues about the whole process and everything. Like Ella was putting up lights by the end of it. It was really great working with Nora. It was surreal for me too, because like I was the only film person and my home burned down right before production began, so it was kind of a hazy production. But yeah, I'm really happy with the final product and where it's at.
So if you want to talk about the...
My name is Nora Graham. I'm an actress here in Wichita, Kansas, and I directed and wrote Better to Have Loved, a short that just premiered at Tallgrass Film Festival.
Very cool. What was the inspiration for the movie?
Yeah, so I actually wrote the script while I was taking a screenwriting class during COVID, and I was also just happening to go through a breakup at the same time with a man who actually is now my husband. Very long story, but and I decided that I just wanted to write it about a lot of the lessons I was learning about the relationship, the most important relationship in my own life. And so I kind of took this magical realism take on things that were actually happening in my life. So, yeah.
Nice. All the actors seem to have a pretty good camaraderie on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
How did you know only a few of them? Did you know all of them? How did that all work out?
I actually knew most of them already coming in. It was the tech crew that was a little bit more, we met on this project, but I knew most of them from the theater program at Wichita State, and I knew that they were very capable. A lot of them were already very good friends, so it really helped with the chemistry on set, with getting the relationships established pretty quickly. So it was very, very lucky to have had that group of actors, for sure.
Very cool. Where are you hoping this film will take you next?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I mean, it's just crazy to me that it's come this far already. I'm just kind of overwhelmed by just the reception that it's gotten already. We have it in submission for several other film festivals around the country. I'll be submitting it to a few more in the next few months. And then we'll see. I mean, I'm just excited to see where all it goes.
Very cool. I have one more question.
Okay.
I know traditionally you're a theater actress, is that
Yes.
correct? So how have you handled the transition from the stage to screen?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's such a huge transition going from stage to screen acting, for one. So that's been a journey for myself, since I've mostly been trained for stage acting. But then it was a whole other journey for me to go from screen acting to screen directing. I am so grateful to have had Amy, our DP, who was amazing, knew all of the technical things, did pretty much all of the lighting, the DP, the cinematography, was wonderful. And so I kind of handled most of the acting portions and the art direction and things like that. And then Amy kind of took over the rest and was able to bring my vision to life. And I'm so grateful to Amy. So yeah, it was a huge learning experience, and I'm so happy to have done it.
Start by saying, great job, thank you for making the film. Tell me, where did the story of Arthur D. Perkins come from?
Well, so we had an idea several years ago at kind of the start of our little Illumination Cinema studio. Christopher Strong and I were talking about if we wanted to do a period piece, which decade would we want to set it in? And I think we named every single decade of the 20th century. And I said, we could probably do that if we had a character who wasn't aging. And we kind of just went from there and became a documentary, and all the pieces kind of started falling together that way.
That's awesome. You two want to introduce yourselves and how you're involved with the films?
I'm Arthur D. Perkins. This is the true story of my life. No, I'm Patrick Poe.
I'm Samantha Montero, and I play Monica Taylor.
All right, so how did you find your cast here? How did the casting go?
Well, So I put out a casting call, and she was like first pick for Monica, and then Patrick sent in his audition. I already knew Patrick ahead of time, and I knew Patrick as a comedy actor. I just hadn't seen him do anything dramatic. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to say no to my friend. And then he sent it in, and it was amazing. So easy choices.
So I saw the shooting on film. How was it shooting with film?
It was a lifelong goal, and kind of like pretty much the entire reason to do the movie. Writing a script was an excuse, but I really wanted to do multiple formats and shoot on Super 8 and 16, and it was we did a lot of research ahead of time, and it was a lot of fun. It just boils down to being a lot of fun.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Tyler W. Moore. I am the writer and director of Personal History.
Okay, great. How long have you been doing filmmaking for?
Since 2006, so that's 15, 16 years. Started really young, so several years of not being very good, and then actually catching up a little bit.
Very cool. So I'm here with the director of Personal History. This almost seems like a love letter to Wichita. Is there any reason that you decided to film it here?
Outside of living here, it's a beautiful city in many ways. I love the look of downtown, and we were filming everything at sunrise and sunset. So it really. I wanted to get as many just glamour shots of the city as I could.
Very cool. What's next for you?
I've got several projects down the line. I want to make another animated feature. I've made one previous to this, which will be a long trek, but then I'm producing a fun horror feature next year with a couple friends of mine.
Very cool. Well, thanks for taking some time to talk with me. I'm here with Andre. Andre, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Andre, programming director for Tallgrass Film Festival. I've been involved with Tallgrass for about 15 years. Started out as a volunteer and kind of weaseled my way up. And Melanie, our new executive director, gave me a chance last year to be in this position. This is my first full year, and I'd like to think it went well.
And what position are you in now?
Programming director.
Very cool.
So that was I was helping out in the programming department, assisting, and then the old programming director left last year, and our new executive director, Melanie, said, do you want this job? And I said, uh-huh.
Oh, very cool. Did you have a favorite thing you saw this year?
A favorite thing I saw? You can't really ask me that. I won't say I have a favorite thing I saw, but for those in front of the screen or wherever this is, I was just talking to Trevor about a film that I haven't stopped thinking about since the first time I saw it. Is a film called It Is In Us All, directed by Antonia Campbell-Hughes out of Ireland. I don't know how to explain it. It's a weird drama in the best way of weird.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Andre.
All right.
Wasn't that a great film? Who is both the producer and the director of the film. Neil, can you tell us a little bit about whose idea this was and how you got pulled into the project?
So it was not my idea. I have two colleagues of mine, Gary and Larry Lane. I knew them through a friend of mine who had directed their first film, which was the story about them basically coming out. And it was called Hollywood to Dollywood, and they had written a script for Dolly Parton. And they were Dolly Parton fans and have been since they were, this high. Southern Baptists from North Carolina, and Dolly Parton was really the only person who accepted them, being gay twins from the South. And so they came to me and said, would you like to be involved in this film? They had seen Dolly, Lily and Jane at the Emmy Awards talking about a sequel to 9 to 5. And they thought, wouldn't it be a great idea to do a film about the different iterations of the original 9 to 5, the TV show, and the musical? And they came to me and said, would you be involved? And I was like, not sure. Because I've been making films, documentary films for quite a while, and I'm a little bit more hardcore. And I was like, yeah, I think so. And then when I looked at the history of 9 to 5 and how it came, well, the idea came out of the 9 to 5 organisation, I was like, oh yeah, it's a 3-dimensional perspective that we can make something, make a documentary from. So then I was very interested.
Hey, moron!
You talking to me? You talking to me?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello? What an idiot! Well, what do you expect? I'm the Movie Moron.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none taken.